are gathered here on this call to take a moment out of our lives to honor and recognize those nurses who have made the ultimate sacrifice on the front lines of this pandemic.
We are quite literally risking our lives by going to work every day to take care of our patients. Because of the lack of preparedness and now gross inaction by many hospital employers and our federal government, the terrible number of nurses are now dying as a result.
Each and every death is a very deep tragedy for their families, their communities, and for our entire profession.
This virus has made it extremely difficult to express our sorrow as a community, and that is so heartbreaking. You know, grieving and offering companionship and support to one another is harder, and honoring these nurses in the way that they deserve to be honored is more difficult.
As we honor their lives, remember the words of that union organizer, Mother Jones, who said, "Pray for the dead and fight like hell for the living."
Even in the middle of a pandemic, union nurses know that the power concedes anything without a demand, and decisions should be made based on science, not what's more profitable.
That is completely unacceptable.
We demand stronger action from our federal government and our employers to do everything in their power to protect nurses who are on the front lines of this crisis.
So tonight we mourn, and tomorrow we fight harder than ever.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to another episode of Safe Distance and Save Lives. The following episode that you'll be seeing is about Geneva O'Connor, and this was recorded 2 weeks before. Geneva is a frontline registered nurse who works in Southern California. I just contacted her and I got to know that she's got COVID. Geneva practiced all the safety rules. She had tried to cover herself and also protect all her patients. It's a small hospital where they were treating people. Geneva has a lot of positive energy, and you can see that in the interview. I just wanted to pray for her speedy recovery, and she shared her story with us. I'm really thankful, and I really want to recognize all those nurses and all the health practitioners who are right now combating COVID-19 right in the front lines. It is for real. We are seeing cases rise, and we are seeing people who are in the front line being affected. The vulnerable people are being affected. So please, please be safe, practice safe distance, and save lives. Thank you. Welcome to another exciting episode of Safe Distance and Save Lives. We have someone very special. Yes, and she's far away, but she's close to my heart. We met through Facebook and we're very good friends ever since. Geneva. Yes, Geneva. Her name, as sweet she sounds, she looks also very beautiful and is such a pleasing person that one day for sure I'll go and see and meet you in person. From all the way from South California, we have Geneva, and she's going to share her story with you. So without taking any further, let's welcome Geneva to our show. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that. And my name is Geneva, and I'm an RN. I've been a registered nurse for 25 years, and I've worked in all areas of healthcare. But primarily, I work in the emergency room and the Southern California. I live in Orange County, by Disneyland. Everyone knows that.
Ooh.
And yeah, and I work primarily in South Central LA. I choose to work in that area because I really want to serve the clientele that live there. It tends to be more racially diverse, ethnically diverse population, and they may have some difficulties accessing healthcare. There's also a language barrier, things like that. So I really want to serve that community. So I took a position as a travel nurse in a small community hospital that's located in South Central LA. I started in the middle of March, toward the middle to the end of March, actually March 23rd. And I started a few days late because I had a little cold and I was getting that. And I also went through the testing for COVID and all that. Thankfully, that was all negative, so I was cleared to work. So I came into work, and I'm telling you, it was like a COVID hospital. We had so many, but it was just a lot different than anything I've ever seen before in my 25 years of being a nurse and seeing the patients come in very sick, and just it was quite a change. I was quite shocked, actually.
Is there really any vulnerable group, or is it open to all? This can happen to anyone. It's just your immune system.
Right. Yes, and that's a good question, because there are those vulnerable people. And I think one thing that's really important is maybe you and I wouldn't be vulnerable people, but we have family members, we have loved ones that we may get exposed to the virus by, going places or not wearing, social distancing and maybe not wearing a mask or whatever. And we may not have symptoms, or we may have very mild symptoms. People can present with just, a headache and just maybe some GI upset, their stomach kind of hurts and their head kind of hurts, and we wouldn't think much of it, maybe a day or two to rest and feeling much better. But at the same time, we can expose our family members to that and get our elderly grandmother, elderly aunt, or elderly grandfather, or young children. They're starting to see children coming in with this. So that's the important thing to remember, is maybe you and I aren't vulnerable people, but we are interacting with those vulnerable people. So that's one really way it protects us, but it also will protect them as well. So I work the night shift. So I come in around 6:30 is when I start. So I come in, and I actually, instead of driving myself, I actually hired somebody that will drive for me, that will drive me to work. Yeah, it's hard to say. For us, I think that we're seeing, we have only 2 patients in our ICU that are COVID negative. So we do have them in their own room, and we mostly try to protect them from, everyone else, because we are all exposed. And so I wear all my PPE when I go in there to keep them safe, from me and from whatever else bugs are in the hallway, germs, So we make sure their door is always closed, and those 2 that are negative we're really happy about. And so we have a lot of people that get ventilated and they don't get off the ventilator and they end up passing away. So our numbers are down, but just because the people are passing away, sadly. I'm really proud of my state of California, because we are kind of being more conservative as far as opening everything up. And I think that we're being very cautious. They're talking about opening in July. I have twin girls that are 19, and they, they're working, they're going to school, they're doing all the things that 19-year-olds do. And then all of a sudden they're boom on lockdown. And then they have this mom who's asleep and awake and keep the house clean and quiet and all that. So it's been an adjustment, but they've been doing really well.
So a message to our
people getting sick. And, we joined this career because we want to help people. We want to see them get better. So that's really hard to see people sick and to think that it's an easy fix for now. I know that, people are wanting to get back to work and all that, and I support that 100%, but there are safe ways to do it. And I think that if people employ those simple things, hand washing, social distancing, being creative, and realizing that it's not going to be forever, but we just really have to rethink how we, especially public health, and how we take care of ourselves so that we can do the best we can with our lives and for our families as well.